It looks difficult. Okay, so we can think about the differences between simple and continuous. Basically the difference between present perfect simple, which is just present perfect, and present perfect continuous, are the differences that exist between simple and continuous. So, what is simple? Simple is a fact. What is continuous? It's an activity for a longer period of time. Now, sometimes the difference between facts and activities are just our perspectives. Maybe something that's a fact for me is an activity for you. Maybe. But so let's stick with that simple definition first. Simple is a fact. What are facts? Numbers, basically. Numbers. So very often, not all the time, but very often, when we are asking about a number, the question is going to be in the simple. How many books have you read? How many times have you seen the film? How many people have you met? That's a bit of a strange example, I suppose, but they all require numbers. The one exception, because language is full of exceptions and special examples, could be with the question, how long? I can ask you, how long have you lived? How long have you lived in this town? How long have you lived in Banska Bystrica? Or I could ask you, how long have you been living? And there it's my choice to see it as a fact. How long have you lived? It's a fact. Or how long have you been living as an activity? And here, from my perspective, I can choose. Both are correct. The only rule is that if you use the simple in the question, there should be the simple in the answer, as long as the grammar is correct. And if you use the continuous in the question, there should be the continuous in the answer. Are there any other special rules that we should think about? There's one special rule that we should think about, and that is where you have a visual reference for the end of an activity. It means you can see the end of something. And keyword is activity. Remember, activity usually means continuous over a longer period of time. There's a visual reference. So you see your friend, and your friend is the most natural question is, what have you been doing? Yeah.
Very difficult.
In that context, it's you mean in that context, it's difficult to create that structure. Oh, absolutely. It's something that comes naturally with practice. Yeah, I know it's easy to say, and it's difficult to put it into practice, to apply it. But it is true. You could also say to the person, "Have you been running?" And so here are some more examples. You meet your friend, and there is paint all over their clothes. Yeah. So, well, have you been painting? Right? Because you are talking about the activity. You you meet your friend and I don't know, their hair is all wet. Have you been swimming? No, context of being on a beach on a nice day, for example. Um,
Have you been washing your
have you been washing your hair? Yeah, that's a little bit of a strange question to ask, but grammatically, it's perfectly okay. But if we remember the classic example, and the classic example is, what have you been doing? You see your friend and there's something strange about them, or you meet your friend and they are dressed as a clown with a big red nose and funny hair, and it's like, what have you been doing? Yeah. Um, so so here the question is specifically about an activity that is finished but connected to the present. Keyword activity that is finished and connected to the present. So if we review the information, simple is a fact, continuous is a longer activity. Facts are very often numbers, with the exception of how long have you been doing something, which is about an activity. And then there's a special example for continuous, which is the visual present result of a past activity, which stimulates the question, what have you been doing? Those are the basic differences. It's not everything, because there's always more. There's always more to everything. But if you stay focused on those ideas, keep those ideas in the back of your mind, you should be okay. Yeah, it's good to repeat. It's good to be reminded, and it's good to repeat them, for sure. Repetition is absolutely essential on the road to success. And in fact, when you get something right, before you get something right, you have to repeat it a lot of times. And then when you get it right, you still have to repeat it. So it's absolutely necessary on the road to success and after being successful as well in everything that we do.